a minute.
Yeah. Wait, it's tomorrow, right, Josh?
That's right.
Tomorrow.
Hi, James. Thanks for coming.
What was on your capstone today?
I know.
Thank you. Can you just go out and check our YouTube channel? We should be live now.
I know.
Nice. And, oh, I have extra pens if anyone needs them. No, you guys don't need to. Okay.
That's what I mean.
Pencil. I get pencil.
I'm just going to check our live stream, make sure we are indeed live, and then I think we will be ready to go. The MISM Capstone channel that we've used the last 4 or 5 years. 4 to 5 years.
Live stream never records as well.
Let's see. Yeah, and then it archives it. And for some reason, my browser doesn't work. All right, I'm going to assume that we're rolling now, and then I'll maybe do a little troubleshooting during to verify. Sure, if you want to follow that link. But we are at the time, so let's go ahead and get started. As it's the first capstone of the day, just kind of an overview. You'll have 20 minutes to present, 5 minutes for questions. You can take questions as we go, or you can ask us to save them to the end. Do you have any preference on that?
I think on the go. Yeah, just ask you guys have questions. We have like a question section at the end, but just ask them as you have them.
Okay, perfect. All right, so the floor is yours, and take it away. So you open, Nikolai. No, it doesn't matter. You're in the shadows a little bit, right now. So if you're comfortable over there, hey, no one will know who you are. No, so usually most of the content's on the screen, so I'm focusing primarily there.
Well, cool. Hey guys, thanks for being here this early morning. I'm Yopa, Nico, and we're going to present our capstone project called You're a Wizard. So, we started by identifying a problem or something we wanted to deal with. Actually, our mentor, Gas, can help us a lot with that. His daughter, actually, more specifically. Just talking about, she wanted a game where you could like be a wizard and cast magical spells. But so we're gonna first talk a little bit about the platform. So we're building our thing on augmented reality, AR. It's getting big. Companies are getting better at it, coming out with their solutions. But it's really lacking in applications, honestly. There's a scarcity of games. There's not a ton of games out for AR. There's a few sort of, get your toes wet games, but there's not a huge library or anything like that. There's really not any games about the wizarding world. That's sort of changing since even we started a few months ago. Niantic, the company that put out Pokemon Go, is currently working on a Harry Potter AR app, so kind of right on the money. They'll probably get there before we get, but that's okay. And then we also wanted to focus on voice commands. So that's a really cool thing that our particular platform has that we'll talk about in a little bit. But It's integrated with Cortana, so you can use your voice to control the app, which, when you don't have keyboard or mouse, can be really important.
Okay, so the proposed solution, that was at the beginning of the 2 semesters ago. So, oh no, at the end of the last semester, we proposed to have a developed AR solution that to be a wizard. That one, so our first recommendation or our first solution will be to transfer an object in your hand into a wand, or like basically to have a wand to cast spells. The second one, cast magic spells via voice control or voice command, and holographic and sonorous animations. However, it changed.
So we're going to introduce our technology right now, just so when we get to it later, it's not like a huge shock. So this is the HoloLens. You can see it pictured up there. It's really kind of the first of its kind. And we're just going to do a quick demonstration so you guys can see what's going on. So yeah, you can just put
Yes.
This is a HoloLens. It has a clear lens. You can see through it. It projects things onto your surroundings. Oh, yeah. Sorry, the app just crashed. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was telling you to press the wrong button. Okay, cool. So you can see a little bit of what I'm seeing right now with the menu up. We're just going to show real quick holograms here. So to recognize gestures, it's got cameras on the front of it. We'll just place it.
So like, for example, with the idea of the Pokemon Go, you need to use your cell phone with this device, the HoloLens. You just need that one to see holograms, and you can see like holograms and do also voice recognition to play with them or gestures. The HoloLens only has 3 gestures. One is to click. Another one like is really similar is to hold that one and move that one, and blue gesture is to bring the Windows menu. It's like the Windows key in your keyboard. That one is just to stop or pause something.
So here's just a little fun thing that you can watch. And it's cool, and it's sitting on the floor. You can walk around it, it's dancing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's just to give you an idea if you've never had the opportunity to play with one of these. Okay, so we had our plan, we proposed our solution, we're ready to go. Then we did run into some obstacles and some things that we ended up having to change, mostly due to our lack of knowledge about the HoloLens. It's just it's pretty new technology, and until you can get your hands on it, there's some things that you just don't find out. So one thing that we found out after reading a bunch of documentation is that there's not really a hand tracking abilities. So it's not constantly watching your hand. It uses relative positioning. So once it recognizes something, then it just notices if you're moving left or right, not so much following your hand. I don't know if that makes sense. But so that was going to be a problem as far as the wand. So one adjustment we had to make was no wand. We had considered other options. One example was that it could follow a QR code, but it had to be relatively large, and we just didn't feel like that was quite the direction we wanted to go. Another idea we had was to make our own custom gestures, so maybe like when it recognized you doing some specific thing, then something amazing would happen. But as it turns out, Microsoft also discourages developers from making their own custom gestures, because then they'd have to like memorize a whole library of gestures depending on which app they're using. So we decided not to do that either, and just go with the voice commands, which we planned to do from the beginning. And then Cortana is pretty good at listening, but for example, if you're not native English speaking, that can be a little bit troubling. And then also, we were trying to do our spells in Latin, so that was also kind of like, you gotta come at it with a gringo accent, and then sometimes she picks it up. It just depends. She's picky, kind of like Hermione, but so we had to make a few adjustments there as well. So our project had to change a little bit.
So yeah, it's basically we just delete the one. So it's doing all the other stuff without the one. So we are doing the voice commands and the photographic animations.
Yeah, so you can still do a little bit.
Okay. So for the technical stuff, we build our solution over Unity. We put this way, but I think it's more like interconnected. Unity is the software where we build the solution, but Unity also uses Visual Studio for the scripts in C#. However, we can change stuff in Unity according to the scripts. Like the scripts could have new requirements that will change the Unity platform. And we also use Cortana interconnected with scripts in C#.
Does anyone have any questions?
So the wand that you weren't able to do was a virtual imaginary wand, is that right?
What we had wanted to do was, cast a holographic object into your hand.
It seems like one other option. I don't know if you could go down this road, but it seems like a great opportunity to say, you know what, let's actually produce a wand that has some kind of device in it that allows us to track it. So you actually have to pay the $39.95 to get the wand to be able to play the game. I don't know where that technology, that's just kind of what pops into mind.
Yeah, some VR platforms have devices just like that that then you can use for tracking and other things. Unfortunately,
the
HoloLens
mixed reality
doesn't.
come with nice plastic controllers and sensors and stuff on them.
Yeah.
So
HoloLens does not.
Yeah.
HoloLens does not.
But I like your thinking.
Windows
Extra-
is going mixed.
extra
They're calling
revenue.
that part mixed reality, and then this is AR augmented reality. So it just depends.
PlayStation 3 has something like that. Right? They have like 2 games about the same spelling or casting spells for Harry Potter, but they have like a huge one that in the screen looks different, and they also have like a book with a huge QR code. So they are like when someone is playing, he's like reading the book and casting the spell.
Let's sell the wand separately. $39.99. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna do a quick demo of our app, so you guys can see it. Hold on, let me just turn it on. Keep talking. Yeah, just give it a second. Okay, it should be good.
So there are 2 seconds delay. That's the reason that it's like that. So
So cool. We got our app here on the device. It's called Your Wizard. So it's just right here. Go ahead and click that up. Look at this thing. That's trouble in the Alright. I don't know if the delay we're on, but anyway.
It's about a half second delay.
Oh, okay, that's not too bad. Great, so here's our main menu. of your wizard. If we take a look at the help menu real quick, I guess we have a list of all the spells that you can cast.
The light is not open right now.
Maybe look over to the side where it's a little darker.
Yeah, so the menu is just placed right here. So
Oh, I
it
see.
doesn't
Yeah, you
follow
placed
my
it.
gaze.
Got it.
Right. But it's okay because I know the spells. So it's a good start. Is the volume up over there? Can you hear anything in there?
No.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Perfect. So, go ahead and jump into it. So, she's kind of blank right now. Pretty boring, but so you can cast lots of spells. So, let's try a fire spell. Okay. Incendo.
Good thing you missed me.
Apologize to everyone sitting over there. And then we'll just go ahead and put it out. Extinctus. Extinctus.
Better hurry.
Yeah, I don't want to burn down the whole building. Okay, and then we've got a water spell as well. No? Aqua. It's sort of like a waterfall that comes down from the ceiling. Again, I apologize for everyone getting soaked right now. Siccum. So these are all like Latin words for dry and wet and fire and things like that. Explodo. Nice explosion there. Ignis. And then we've got this one. Sphera Creo. Sphera Creo. Bingo accent. It creates a ball, it's sitting on the table. Then we can give it some gravity. Pondus. So now it's going to roll around.
On the table.
Maybe detect. There it goes, fall on the ground. Now we can stop the gravity. What was that? Or what?
Don't remember that one.
Something about arrest momentum.
Yeah, is a rest on momentum.
Oh, that works.
Yeah, that's interesting. So we can cast spells while you're playing too.
Yeah. Well, that's always been,
Yeah,
voice
yeah.
thing. Send a message to whoever.
Incendio. No.
Sarah Delaria. She doesn't like that one. Delete ball. Delete ball.
Who needs Latin?
Yeah, we threw in some back doors just in case you didn't pick it up.
I had a lot of trouble with that one because I don't know.
Is it that? Do you do a
my
hard R,
vowels are
delere, or delere?
Yeah. So I just leave the English one for that one.
Yeah, any spell?
So you can cast and move the ball.
Oh, yeah. Sphera Creo. So one thing we did do is you can grab this ball and put it somewhere else. So that would be like a good, if we had the nice wand object with like a smaller, nicer QR code for
But like
$39.99.
again, it's not relative to his hand, it's relative to his gaze.
Yeah.
So he doesn't need to be touching the ball, he can touch wherever he wants, and while he's looking the object, he will move that one. Does that make sense?
Go ahead and put the gravity on that again. I want to check that out.
Pondus. It's coming! Arresto momentum. Pause game.
That's cool. Nice.
Yeah, nicely done.
So we learned a ton doing our capstone. Nico and I wouldn't really call ourselves developers, let alone on a brand new platform like AR. So we've learned a ton of stuff. Be wary of system configurations, whether that's the computer you're running on, which version of the game engine you're doing, what version of the tutorial you're watching, what version of the library that you downloaded that gets updated like every 3 weeks. That was just a really tough thing that we had to deal with. Keep it simple, obviously the KISS, keep it simple, stupid, reinforced for sure during our project. We did have to make some decisions that we would like to see a wand, but time constraints and budget constraints to make that wand. Test, test, test. We did a lot of testing. We figured out we needed to test a lot more frequently.
Especially that was from us.
Yeah, on smaller pieces at a time, and that really helped us a lot. And build on what others have accomplished. Obviously, Google, YouTube are your friends. Other tutorials that people have done really helped us a lot figure out bugs that we had. In some cases, there were no answers, but in those cases, we can provide those answers and just build on what the community already knows. Another presentation. Any questions? Yes.
So where do you go with this knowledge from here? How is this useful to you besides, I mean, it could be a hobby, it could be, you know, something professionally. How do you, each of you, take this and build on this, or is this just a chapter in a book that will be remembered long from now is all?
I think it's going to be more knowledge because we cannot sell the product. We will have a lot of copyright problems because Harry Potter has like an owner, the game has another owner, and different stuff are not to sell. So the knowledge that we, at least I acquire, it helps me a lot to practice again. Let me stop that one. Coding. So I'm trying to keep building that area in my professional works.
I think for me, so last semester I took the iOS dev class from Dr. Little. Definitely shouldn't have been there. Everyone knew way more than I did about developing. But taking that class just gave me confidence to like mix around in there and just try it out. And so I think it was kind of similar with this. Is I don't particularly want to do it as sort of a professional development career, but I definitely feel like I can mess with something until I figure out an issue that I have. So I don't know if that's a hobby or like a kind of skill, but if nothing else, confidence to just try something weird and difficult.
How long would it take you to implement another object that's similar to the ones that you've shown us?
I think it's up to what we want. Like for some of the fire ones, probably will be like 30 more minutes. Like it's something similar.
Mm-hmm.
But for something different, it will take more time. Like for the holographic effects, we can build over the same one. For like the bold one, we will need to have like a graphic designer to create like, the right assets if we want something like way different. It's up to like how different you want. Like if you want something, or we want something really different, we need like probably some hours, like 4 hours with a right graphic designer and all this stuff.
So my perspective is the Harry Potter theme, you can't directly use it, but you can be a wizard that is a competing wizard to Harry Potter, and you know, if you could build out your spell set, I think you could actually do something with it because the scarcity of apps currently on the platform, and big spike balls rolling around, maybe interacting and, you know, bumping into things and making explosions. I totally could see, you know, younger folks running around with their $3,000 HoloLens doing that.
Very senior to be cheaper.
Yeah. But so I wouldn't discount the market, I guess is what I'm saying.
Call it Larry Porter. Any other questions?
One question. So it seems like it's quite a bit of work to make a ball that will kind of obey gravity and fall. It's amazing. Compare that to what you think it would take to create a niffler or some other, you know, cast something that has kind of its own impetus behind it, and it will kind of run around after you've created it, and you're not quite sure where it's going to go. Is that 3 or 4 orders of magnitude more difficult, or is it just a little bit more difficult?
So with the roll ball, Unity already has a property that is like a physics property. Because it's a sphere, it will roll, and because there is gravity, it will fall. So it's like physics gravity. But to move something around, it will take more time because we will need to do like at least some equations to create the movement. It could be random, or it could be like doing ellipses or a circle movement. So it will be a little more probably.
I would argue that Unity has a lot of those things already there. I mean, totally different knowledge set, but the environment with Unity, you know, it is the platform for 3D environments. And a couple of years ago, we had a capstone that was built on Unity that had monsters running around using AI and things. And I could very easily see if you could combine your knowledge set with that knowledge set, doing something without, you know, too much difficulty and kind of having them run around the environment because of the textures that are pulled into Unity, thanks to HoloLens.
A lot of it's done by the HoloLens is spatial mapping, and then, like you said, it knows gravity and it's a sphere. So. But yeah, as far as AI, as you said, I'm sure Unity has some pretty nice.
They have really good engines for it.
So when I think of, you know, the AR I've been experienced with already, you know, it's based on the phone, right? You point your phone at something that you can see. How far? I'm guessing that this platform doesn't kind of already have a bridge to that, but it seems like for this to be broadly adopted, you've got to get the device in the hands of folks. So how
pair of glasses that you're wearing, like that big.
Right.
Yeah. Right. That's it. Right. Where we're at right now is you look through your phone, but the idea would be to, you know, like you say, you carry your phone around all the time. You also carry your glasses around all the time. So that's your new device that you just, without even thinking, it's already there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously not there yet. And then HoloLens is coming out with their next one this year.
Probably early next year.
Early
Magic
next year.
Leap comes out this year, and there are about 20 other companies working on just glasses.
So the ideal would be to not have your device held, but just to have it out of your eyes.
And smaller than this.
Did you guys mess around with the interaction between two glasses, or
Yeah, we had originally wanted to like fights going on, but
Dueling club.
All right, very good. Thanks so much. Okay, next up we'll have Mahoka. If you guys want to get set up, we're tracking nicely on our time. Thank you.
Got some grading sheets and a pen too. Look at
Yeah.
this. Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, so I'll kind of normalize within your evaluations, and they're not, you know, hard evaluations either. I'll kind of massage things. Good job, gentlemen.
thank you.
You got about 3 minutes. Strike a
As
pose.
interesting as the last presentation, though. Let's see what you do.
That's right.
I don't know if you can compare to Harry Potter VR, but not quite as.
And I think we could, if everyone's ready, we could go ahead and start and just, you know, we'll gain a couple minutes on the other side.
Sounds great. Yeah, so we're our product here is Mahoka for our capstone. So yeah, I'm Jared Wilbur. This is Trevor Harmon, and we actually have a video to kind of explain to you what Mahoka is.
you just walked into a model home. You might be looking at buying a home, or maybe you already have one. You look around and you think, wow, I love that sofa. I wish I could have that in my home. That's where Mahoka comes in. We make it easy to buy the furniture that you see in model homes. We connect you with home designers and home builders to find the exact sofa that you fell in love with. All you have to do is know where you saw it and what room it was in. You can make your house feel like a home with Mahoka. Mahoka, furniture, decor, and more.
So kind of the overall idea here is that getting home buyers connected with home designers and home builders. And so that of course comes from some pain points, and I'm just gonna have Trevor explain these pain points.
Okay, pain point number one that we saw was that as a home buyer, you can't easily purchase the furniture that you see in a model home. So you walk into a model home, and typically you're in buying mode. Especially if you're a first-time home buyer, you want to buy everything you see, not just the walls and the floors, right? And so right now, you walk in, you say, I love this home, I love the feel of this home, and you can go and you can just buy the home itself, but you have to go, additionally by yourself, to go find furniture. And right now, the process of purchasing something you see in a model home is pretty difficult. Let's say I went to Woodside Homes over in Vineyard and I saw like this specific kitchen table I loved. I'd have to go to the home builder and say, who is the designer who staged your home? And once I had the designer's information, I'd have to go connect that, talk to that designer and say, okay, there was this one table, I loved it, et cetera, and try to describe to them what I saw. And the odds are high that that person would not know what you're talking about because they stage a lot of homes. But also, actually getting the specific one and buying it would be a hard process to go through. And so we wanted to simplify being able to connect a buyer with a designer and make it easy to help them find the exact piece of furniture they want. Pain point number two is about home designers. Home designers have access to like wholesale contracts and things like that because they stage all these model homes. And their main business is to stage homes, but there's a second potential business opportunity for them to sell the furniture they have. But right now, that's pretty difficult. If they want to do that, they have to rent space and try to sell furniture on consignment, which means they rent somebody else's space, they have their furniture in that place, and then they have to market it, they have to handle inventory, they have to handle payment processing, et cetera, And because it's not a key part of their business, they don't want to just jump in and do that immediately. And so there's no easy way for them to sell and take advantage of the contacts they have and the prices they have access to. And so the third pain point is all about home builders. Home builders, they'll build like 3 to 4 model homes in a model home community, and they will spend tens of thousands of dollars on designers staging a home. And they don't see any direct return from that investment. They do in the form of people purchasing homes in that community, but they don't see like dollars and cents from that specific thing. But if there's an opportunity to see a direct return from the money they spent in a model home, that's interesting to them. So these are 3 pain points that we saw, and Jared will talk about the solution.
So of course, the solution that we came up with was a mobile web, a web application to have a marketplace for this. This was built in a kind of a 2-part system. One part for the actual users, customers themselves, to have more of a drill down methodology of knowing where they saw it, so I can either find it on the map. I know I was in Pomona, California. I know it was kind of there. I knew what it kind of looked like, and then being able to drill down from there to find the exact item that they saw in the home. And so that would be the customer portion, and then of course there's an administrator portion of the site where designers and home builders can come in and input the homes, the different objects, the things that are associated with what they're trying to sell. And so that's kind of our solution is a two-part methodology.
So we are going to do a little demo of our product. All right. Okay. So if you were in a model home, you went to Mahoka looking for the item, this is what you'd see. And as Jared mentioned, the goal is to have this based around like a real human experience, which is you went to a model home, you kind of remember the gist of it, and you remember like what you liked, but things like names and details like that, you're not going to remember. And so I'll show you how you can find a specific item based off of like vague details. So let's say you remember, okay, I went to this model home. It was in Pomona, California. Scroll down and go to the map. Right, that's the one. Click on that. This is a view of what the model home would look like. And this is all like actual model homes. And so you'd say, oh, okay, well, I was the one in Residence 1. That was the home that I really liked. And I remember, like, I loved this blender, this toaster. Okay, here are the rooms in that home. Okay, I love the blender, look at the toaster. Perfect. And here it is. Here's the items in that room. And so, pretty easily, you can get to a very specific item, just remembering like things based off your memory and just general details. And the ultimate goal of this is to have like actual purchasing on the site. We don't have that yet, but instead like a placeholder. And so we have a way to connect a user with a designer. So let's say I want to buy this item. Okay, it's not yet available, but this informs you that I can be connected to that designer and buy it through them. Let's do it. Before I can do that, I have to sign into Mahoka. We do this using Google. And the reason why we have this step is because we wanted to prevent like spam bots from accessing that part of the site, and also collect that information up front, because it makes it easier to get their information later on. So go ahead and sign in. Now let's do it. It's already filled out for me. Everything's good to go. I'll just hit this button, and I'll begin. So those are the steps it takes to get from I had this item I loved in this one place, in this one home. Now I can actually talk to the designer and say, hey, I'm interested in buying this from you. And so that's the customer side of it. There's a demo of the administrative portion of it.
So of course we have a role-based here. Here's all the different items that are related to the actual site, different objects that are related to the site. So for an example, we're just going to do homes. We'll go down to the. This is honestly just a simple CRUD or create, read, update, and delete system. So we'll go down to the one that Trevor was looking at, the Residence 1 out in Pomona, the crossing at Phillips Ranch. You can go in, simply say we want to edit it, and we actually realized that we were advertising too many rooms. We need to go down to 4 rooms. We can actually just go update that, and if we scroll on down, go back to the homes page. You can scroll down, and there's Residence 1. Now it's 4. So it's just very simple CRUD application. Something kind of cool that was a feature on the site. If we go to Add Homes, right here, when you go to add a photo, you can go, there it is, the Lennar Model Home JPEG. So when I click this, it looks like it uploaded immediately, but really what's going on here in the foreground, to the user, they don't have to worry about a loading page or just kind of stuff that happens like on the foreground. Right here, it's just JavaScript pulling in that image, placing it on the page. The user can continue to go. But really, in the background, there's a lot of different processing going on. Of course, we're doing we're processing the image, uploading it to an S3 bucket, sending information around to a database to actually collect that. Lots of things are going on in the background, but we essentially just decided to put a little JavaScript thing to put that image right up on the front and kind of give a very clean experience for the user. I'm just gonna put gibberish in here.
So if the image doesn't completely upload before you hit submit, is that a problem?
So it disables the submit button.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Let's see, put in random stuff here. Then you can also, of course, tell it which community, so it gives you a list of communities that are there. Crossing Phillips Ranch, which is the one in Pomona that we were talking about. So there you go. We created a home. There's this little image. You can go back, and it should be there at the bottom of the list. Oh, it's not the bottom of the list. There it is, right there. And if we want to, we can just go in and delete. Are we sure? Yep. It's a very simple CRUD application portion of the site. Another thing that we wanted to show was what Trevor was mentioning. So as kind of a placeholder before purchasing is enabled on the site, we had inquiries. So this portion is for designers, where when an inquiry is submitted or request for an item is submitted, designers can come into this portion of the site, see, hey, Trevor tried to buy a 2-slicer toaster, and then they can just simply click, and as they go and respond to these requests, they can come in and say that they did. And that's really kind of it. That's a very quick and simple overview of the admin portion of the website. So the development process that we used, we...
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah, for sure.
So I see the value proposition for a designer, but one of your pain points was for the builder. I didn't see how the builder gets anything out of this.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So basically, the model home becomes like a place that the designer is showing off their furniture in this Mahaka, right? The designer's placing their furniture, and you can go and just see it in the showroom. And we're saying, hey, anytime somebody buys that furniture, if that was in a Lennar home, Lennar gets part of the cut of that.
Also, just commission
So
structure.
it's just commission. And the nice thing for the builders, they don't have to do much work at all. Just basically, you get to use their name, and then they get cut. And the reason why is because you as a consumer, you don't remember things like Ambrosia design, but you remember, I went to the Woodside Homes model home. And so we feel like it's really important that they have the builder's name on it and not just the designer.
So the development approach that we took, we last fall we were in a design class, and we took our startup class. So we had done a lot of the design portion of our site all last semester, going through different doing like iteration cycles through that design. And so we coming into this semester and starting on the actual implementation of the project, we used more of a waterfall methodology, because we took all of the portions of the site that we already knew we were going to build, and built them out individually. But of course, we did use a little bit of an agile methodology on each of those, iterating through multiple times on each portion of that site. And then we did use, of course, we had 2-week sprints, where we would plan out what we were going to do, and then each week we would, of course, come together in the stand-up meeting, making sure that we were on track with those tasks. We did use a Trello dashboard to keep track of those tasks within each sprint, and as well as a GitHub repository, of course, for our code, maintaining our code, sending each other pull requests to make sure that we reviewed each other's code and that it was working on different machines before we actually pushed it out to our master branch and then deploying it.
Because last summer, I spent the summer working in Rails, and we felt like because I recently worked in it, it made sense to use it.
That is the best reason, really.
And it made it really easy because we already kind of knew what it's all about. Postgres is our database engine. It's simple, it's fast, it's great. Heroku as our server. We use it for security because it's also really easy to get going with that. Like Jared mentioned, we have an Amazon S3 integration with all of our static assets. Any images you see of like communities, homes, etc. are all in Amazon. The last one is GitHub for our code management. And we chose these tools because they were typically free, and they were easy to use, and they got things going. And then lessons learned. The first one is about system design and how we learned that we need to take an iterative approach to system design. At the start of the semester, we thought we were going to build a piece of software for one specific home builder. We thought we were going to build hey, we're going to build Lennar Homes or D.R. Horton or whoever the home builder is, one piece of software and sell them on it. But we realized that was the wrong approach, and we felt like having a marketplace was a better solution because we can invite home designers to participate on that marketplace and increases the network value for everybody involved. The goal is to say, I went to a model home, I want to buy that furniture, I'll do it on the home. And regardless of which model home you're in, whether it's D.R. Horton or Lennar Homes, the hope is the place to get. And we also had different moments like that as we were going through the process, where there are new problems that came up within our system that we had to take a step back, reevaluate, and say, okay, there are new challenges. How are you going to solve these in a big picture kind of way, as also in like an implementation kind of way. Technology things we learned more about AWS integrations, Ruby on Rails, and Code First Database. Each of us had varying levels of experience with those things, but the capstone helps us learn like in more detail about that. And neither of us had ever done like AWS integrations, so that would be fun to do. And then just teamwork and playing to our strengths. Jared has more experience with database design and implementation, and I have more experience with like UI design. And so rather than trying to split things evenly, we just said, we'll take database, I'll take UI. It makes more sense that way for us, and we just move faster that way.
Yeah, so the next steps, what's next for Mahoka? As we've mentioned multiple times now, purchasing is not enabled on the site. So that would be absolutely the number one thing to get implemented onto the site, because this is really plain and simple a point of sale website. And so making sure that people can actually buy something on it is very necessary. The next thing is if we're going to be making purchases, if there's going to be purchases made, making sure that there is an inventory and purchasing management for the designers as purchases come in, that they can actually maintain those in a very easy, simple fashion. And then lastly, creating a mobile application for this, because really the ideal use case for a user is not coming back home after you've seen the home. It's right there while you're in the home, having the app out and actually making purchases while you're there. The mobile app is an actual application for Android and iOS is definitely the way to go for this. Right now it is mobile responsive. You can go to a browser, pull it up, and it'll work just great. But you get extra features, of course, when you're using a mobile application. You can get location-based information. You can even talk about doing like little maybe QR codes or something. So you're walking into the home, you can just scan, you get all right there, right then and there. It saves to your account. I was in this home, and you can even more easily find those items that you actually saw at that exact time.
You can do augmented reality. You know, you hold your phone up, it shows you the price tag right on the side of the sofa.
Oh yes. We'll integrate with the last group on that one. Yeah, and so that's kind of the next steps for Mahoka. So, and that's our capstone presentation. Any questions?
What was the main driver that made you say, you know what, we're not going to build for individual builders? What led to that decision?
I mean, that was actually, we spent a good amount of time trying to figure that out. We had in our mind that we were going to create kind of a SaaS or something like that, where we'd build something, run it out to Lunar, they would pay for the servers or something like that. And like Trevor mentioned, what really drove that is we wanted Mahoka, instead of it being separated out to the model homes, we wanted to be kind of, I guess, take it on ourselves that people could know if I wanted to go to a model home, I go to Mahoka. I don't go to Lennar Homes, I don't go to this. If I'm going to go purchase items, I want to go to Mahoka. Because when I think of, Woodside Homes doesn't want their brand to also be, hey, I buy homes and we also kind of do furniture. It's no. If I'm at a model home, I go to Mahoka to go buy furniture. That is its complete role. So
there's also a cost driver as well. It's a lot harder to sell home builder and say, hey, buy this software from us. But instead, you can say, hey, we're going to add value to you, and you can benefit by getting commission off of each sale. It's a lot easier to make that sell than buy this for X amount per month. And they're saying how much, what value is this adding to us.
So I want to follow up on this, and it's kind of my standard question as well. Are you going to do anything with this? Or is it kind of your capstone project? Again, no right answer here. I just kind of frankly want to see.
So Chase, you wait family. That's our business partner, Chase. This is actually his idea.
Thanks for coming, Chase.
And we kind of ran with it. So Chase is the main go-to-market guy. But you've got connections to Lennar Homes. He did an internship there for a few years. And so there are people that are interested there who are interested in the product. We want to start with kind of like a lower level test, like somewhere local and simple, like get awesome designs of Woodside Homes. Once we go from there, we also talked about Predictive Homes, and kind of like a one-time, like, hey, like Predictive Homes, or items here, whatever.
For sure.
Kind of starting with smaller things like that, and then
I mean, I think Parade of Homes is actually ideal for this because a lot of folks go and look at the homes not because they're really going to go purchase some of these homes, but because they want ideas on what else they could do at their own place and how they can accessorize and then how they get that information critical. And I think the platform would fit nicely there.
So what you've really developed here is a framework that you're applying to model homes. What else can you apply this exact software to?
We actually talked about that. I don't think we'd actually talked any more about that. I know we mentioned what else did we talk about? Cars or something like that. Whenever you see kind of like nice model cars or something like that, but I don't think we've gone any further in that idea.
yeah, we haven't thought about how we're going to apply this to other markets.
And I have a couple of suggestions. Question about rollout. If you are to really go forward on this, number one suggestion would be to have, and you could do it even if Parade of Homes, a sign as you come in. All the furnishings are listed here on Oaxaca. Maybe you already planned on that, and you work with either the home builders or the furnishers to do that. But secondly, have the wish list, because that's what we want people doing. It's like the wedding registry or whatever. They're just going nuts, right? I like this, I like this, I like this, I like this. And so they're not committed to purchase anything at that point, because I think, and maybe not everybody thinks this way, but do I really want to buy it or not? I want a little more time to think about if I want to buy it, but I like it, and there may be other things in the next two houses I'm going to like, so I'm just going to like a bunch of things, save them for later.
Filter out later. Like,
yeah, so just one more step in between. I want to buy this, but
I absolutely agree with that. And you go into a room and you check, not that one, but check this one, and those actions then bundle the list, and then you go back after looking at 5 of these homes or something and saying, hey, I really like these combinations.
And then my question was, again, rolling out, you have your partner here, so that helps, but how are you going to get, I guess, designers, maybe one of the first groups you're going to need? And you mentioned Osmond, so just kind of going to them and saying, we've got this app we're putting together, and you give them all the admin rights, or maybe this is down the road a little further than you're looking.
Right. Well, and we've talked to a handful of designers, and kind of pitched the idea. I say we had any choice. And there was a lot of interest from designers, because, like kind of mentioned, they do want to sell furniture if they can, because they can buy furniture cheap and mark it up. And so the idea is really interesting to them from a rollout perspective. I think it makes the most sense to potentially get them on first, because they're the actually ones with the products. Home builders is just kind of a name.
You'll have to allow a sign or something in the
we
home,
need
but that's
some
part of the
confirmation
staging that the designers do anyway.
Right. But if Mahoka becomes known as, I was at a model home, I wonder if it's on Mahoka. Oh, there it is. So it'd be great to have the home builders on board, but you don't have to. But I think where you have to start is you have to go. Before the designers, you go to the model home and you lay it out. You get the whole thing built in, and then you go to the designer and say, listen, if you want to sell this stuff, click, set a price, you're done. So that when you go to them, essentially it's except for the things they have to be able to offer, it's there. I mean, you're going to hire kids on their summer internship or their summer job to go into model homes, take pictures, and then you approach the designers and say, listen, you're 3 clicks away from starting to have a separate revenue stream ready to go.
Well, it would be nice if when you're going to that model home, you could work with model home people to put like QR codes or something near it.
Yeah.
Other questions or ideas? All right. Thank you so much. Great job. Thanks for everyone that's attending. Sure appreciate having everyone else come and support too. But that's at 9:30, so let's see. Oh yeah. If you want to set up, you can set up. I say let's hold till 9:30 in case folks are getting online to watch or expecting to come here.
Stand up so my watch won't yell at me.
Yeah, that's right. Get some badges. But gentlemen, it's about a minute till, so whenever you're up and running, we'll turn the floor over to you. I'm gonna quickly see if
Yes, it'll on that switch. Does anyone else have a USB-C HDMI adapter?
Yes.
I'm going to lunch with Carvada today, so
I know it's tomorrow. Is it today? Oh, wait. Today's per day, tomorrow's no lunch. I'm not doing per day.
okay. I'm just trying to figure out where this lunch is. So I got an email saying I'm included, but that's all I got.
This is super cool. My friend just asked me if I wanted to share my password here.
yeah, someone else needed it. Oh yeah, you on your own.
It's
Yeah.
not happy with UA secure today. And this is saying I'm trying to yeah.
That's awesome. It actually looks okay, Nathan, with this. So this way you guys can be in bright living color, and I'll kind of adjust the brightness here. Okay, next up we have comfort cribs, gentlemen.
I'm Tyler Bangeter. This is Nate Meredith and Nate Monk, and we did Comfort Cribs. Comfort Cribs is a temperature and humidity monitoring device for babies. And so it's a Raspberry Pi, but it'll sit on the crib. And we currently have a power source to it, but it'll sit on the crib and be able to monitor the ambient temperature and humidity around the crib. And it'll optimize the atmosphere for the baby. So if it gets too hot or if it gets too cold, you'll be alerted. And then same with humidity. If the humidity's too high or too low, you'll also get alerted. When it goes out of that optimal range for a baby, I think it's above 72 degrees Fahrenheit, it'll send you a message to your phone or an email if that's the preferred method that you want. And same with humidity. If it goes outside of that range of humidity, it'll also send you a message.
All right, do you want questions while we go, or
Yeah, go ahead.
that claim, that third claim there is a pretty significant claim. Are you making that up? Is there some research that suggests babies above 17 degrees are more likely to die in their beds?
Yeah, there is research for both SIDS, and then there is an increased risk for developing airborne allergies too, if humidity's out of range. So it's something that we wouldn't be able to slap like the label on there saying this will reduce the risk, but the research out there points in that direction.
A competitor is Owlet, and they have tried for a lot of years to get that label of reducing SIDS. It's been like illegal. So it would probably be for you.
So this is marketing candy for us.
Yeah. Yeah, so when we first kind of were throwing the idea around for this device, we were looking at other things out there that do test wake them up or make sure they're breathing. And then there's the Nest thermostat, which you can use to control temperatures in your house. So our device kind of sits in the middle. And right now it just sends notifications, but kind of down the road we're looking at integrating it into other smart home devices. So it could automatically increase the temperature in the thermostat or decrease it, and then potentially turn on the humidifier, turn it off depending on kind of what's going on in the room. And so we just wanted to create a device that would provide some similar functionality and give us a little bit of experience in building something with IoT and integrating it with AWS and at a lot cheaper price point.
Yeah, so that was the prices for those products. Our first iteration was the Raspberry Pi 3. It cost us about $50 to make. It was the one that left here. We had the Pi hooked up to this breadboard and all these wires. It was really big and bulky.
Doesn't quite have the same visual appeal as the last one.
Yeah, you wouldn't want this just hanging out by your big crib. But we had that set up and it was working fine. We eventually moved that to the Raspberry Pi Zero. It cost us about $20. It's actually on the table right over
Right
there.
next to go. So it's running right now.
It's pretty small and compact. Right now we have it set up so we have to have it plugged in to be working, but we could also change it so it's battery operated. Just what we can use and plug it in.
So my question would be, you want to make money, right? So if the market says that folks are willing to pay, $200-$300 for these things, are you going to price yours significantly below that?
Yeah, so we've looked at kind of alternative ways to make it using different devices other than Raspberry Pi that are a lot cheaper that could still provide the same functionality. We chose to do this a little bit more expensive route because we could possibly tie in additional functionality to it.
I guess I'm asking the opposite question. This is super cheap compared to what the market apparently would bear if the value's there.
Yeah, what we're looking at kind of the cost of all the components in bulk. I think we could build up to around $15 each, and we were kind of looking at the range of like $50-$60 for the device. So it kind of puts it in a similar range with other smart home devices like Samsung SmartThings has sensors that kind of integrate into their ecosystem that would do something similar. And this would be just kind of a standalone device that would do the same thing. Yeah, it would be a lot cheaper than.
Students might ask questions.
Sure.
So why would I want to buy something like this instead of buy something like Samsung or one of these other home automation systems where it's all integrated together?
Well, for first-time parents who may have a little bit more anxiety or wanting to have something that provided this functionality but didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money. There are Samsung, you can get kind of the hub for $100 and then add things to it, so it really isn't super expensive. But this would just be an alternative that if they just needed kind of this device and this functionality, $50-$60, and then they could plug it in and they'd be good to go.
I think your marketing for the emotional appeal could be huge, and a customized app just for focused on the baby, where I don't think Samsung would necessarily ever go after it like that.
So that kind of segues into our technology. So I'm just going to give kind of a brief overview of all the different types of technologies that we use to set this up, and then we're going to go a little bit into the demo, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the problems that we came up and the lessons that we learned. But so we use the Raspberry Pi. We use DHT22 sensors, which are inside the Pi, and we're on the wires that you saw on the bigger one. But those are the things that we're capturing the humidity and temperature degrees data. And what we need to do is we need to get that up into Amazon Web Services. So it was a real learning curve for us, the full integration with AWS. But getting it onto Internet of Things was kind of one of, well, actually getting the data on the Pi was kind of one of our big breakthroughs. But kind of the next big breakthrough was getting the MQTT protocol set up and getting to see the data, the temperature data into IoT. That was kind of a cool breakthrough for us. But then the next flow kind of goes into Amazon DynamoDB. That's kind of the goal of what we were trying to do into DB and then showing up on the website. But we kind of did a workaround, and we'll talk about it when we get to the problems, just directly at Amazon S3. And then, of course, we have the down to SMS to the text message.
So we've had the device running for probably about 10 minutes. And right now it's collecting data quite a bit faster just for demo purposes. So every 5 seconds it's going to update the temperature and humidity, and then every 25 seconds or so it will put that into kind of historical data. The way we have it set up, it would typically be like once every minute, and it would only update if there was a change in the temperature and humidity, and then every hour it would throw a data point for historical data.
I like the redesign.
Yeah, love it. So this is where they'll come to learn more about comfort groups. They'll be able to find out more about the product info, see what the dashboard would look like if they were to buy a sensor, learn a little bit more about where we are location-wise, or about meeting us as people. Here they can sign up for an account, enter their device ID here at the end, which will probably be the serial number of the Pi, and then we'll be able to link that to what the Pi actually sends to AWS. Once they have signed up for a user account, they'll be able to come to this dashboard, and the dashboard will show the current temperature and the current humidity of the crib or the room that the crib is in. And then as this updates, it'll show every hour, which right now it's every minute or so, and so every 25 seconds. And so it's been the same temperature.
So could we like go breathe on it and get it to move, do you think?
We're not going to change the humidity here.
Yeah, I think that's the sensor right there.
It's got to be longer than 5 seconds.
Hey, it's going up. Humidity's 15.8. Wasn't that 15.1? Keep breathing, Gov. Keep breathing.
Darth Vader.
I guess I could put it in my armpit. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Whoa!
Oh, I was blowing hot air on it.
Nice spike.
The other thing that's cool about this dashboard is the axes will change. Well, not the time, but the axes will change according to how much flux there is. So it gives you a good graph every time. And then you can change some account settings or your password if you want. We have deployed it online, so we have the IP address. A few things aren't working yet, but we're hopefully getting that before the end of this semester.
So can I ask a question? It's probably on here and you just didn't show it to us yet.
Yeah.
I know in fall term we were talking about wouldn't it be great if they could see, oh, humidity's too high, activate dehumidifier or whatever. I think that's probably way in the future. But do you have on your website, you know, that these are the desirable ranges, and if you're not getting those ranges, here is what you need to do. Go buy a dehumidifier or go buy or whatever. The action.
That's great.
When it's outside of the good range.
Yeah, we have that in our design for the website. We haven't implemented it yet.
So just like a tab about how to maintain that perfect climate. Okay.
You can sell your dehumidifiers and your humidifiers and your heaters and your coolers on Mahoka.
As long as they don't take too much like that.
I was gonna say.
As you were building this, I see you guys have a baby. So I mean, did you run out to other people and get feedback, ideas on this? And what did you learn through that process? New parents, what did you, or even outlets of BYU startup, right? Did you reach out to them to get any feedback on what's they're struggling with and what's going on for them?
So I toyed around with this idea kind of a couple of years ago. And, originally it was kind of a whole smart grid and a whole bunch of different features and
Incubator.
But so I was starting to kind of put that together a little bit. And I had talked to a number of parents that said they just kind of wanted something simple and inexpensive. But part of that was the people I was talking to. And it was around here, students with kids, not a lot of money. So that kind of swayed the direction a little bit. And for a lot of it was for kind of the scope of the project that we felt like we could get done. But there are a number of other features to it that I've talked to people about and that could potentially be implemented in.
I think it's just at a prime spot right now where you can reach out to a lot of people and say, hey, not even new features, but what do you recommend about this interface? How would it make it easier? What would make you buy it? And in a community where there's so many new parents, so you can easily get that feedback.
Yeah, both of them have kids, and I've got one coming in 2 months.
There we go.
So all of us. But we did talk with some people also. We had originally wanted to put historical data. That's through the DynamoDB, where you could look back and say, last week, for example, or whatever it may be. A lot of feedback we got was they don't care about feedback or data that was that long ago. Maybe they just want to see on the dashboard instead of every day what the average was, maybe just like the last 24 hours or something like that. So we did get a lot of good feedback from some of the people.
So what? Tell me about the confidence you have in your sensors. I've seen a bunch of jumping around, and obviously we manipulated it, pretty good. But do you, the quality of your sensors, are they pretty good? Is that your perception? And then just another quick question about these graphs, the time on those. Looks like it's 3 hours, but I'm seeing movement. So do those correspond to the data that's above them?
Yeah, so the temperature is accurate within 1 degree Fahrenheit, what they claim, and in between 2 and 4% on humidity. We haven't tested it, we didn't know what the humidity was in the building, but it was pretty close on in the lounge, because it had the little dial there. And then on the time was one of the problems that we ran into actually, so we're going to get to that.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
As of right now, it's pulling off the computer.
So, when you came in today, the humidity, I think, was at 15% or something, and then we got it up to 70%. Now it's down to 3%. So, certainly.
That's not this.
Sorry, this is the real dashboard.
Oh, thank you. No wonder I was so confused. But still, the time's up. Okay, perfect.
But yeah, the time.
Just high fidelity right there.
So we ran into a few different issues when we were putting everything together. We got the Raspberry Pi set up and got everything coded to the point where it was working, and then the SD card just overheated and went kaput. So we had some of our stuff saved, but not everything, so we had to go back and redo a couple of things. It was only a couple hours worth. So that was an issue we ran into within the first couple weeks. And pulling the sensor data was something that took a little while to figure out. There are dozens of different ways that you can pull data from the sensor, and we chose to kind of follow one tutorial that worked really well when we were doing the Raspberry Pi 3, but would not work on the Pi Zero. So as soon as we made the transition to the smaller device, we had to kind of start from scratch again and recode that. But we were able to take a lot of the things that we did learn, and it was a lot faster getting it to work. It actually runs a lot more efficiently on the Pi Zero than we had it going on the Pi 3. So it sends a lot less data to AWS IoT. It only will send if there's a change to the temperature and humidity that is significant. So otherwise, it'll just keep the same temperature and humidity on the website.
But you said it does update once an hour also?
So it does once a minute for the temperature and humidity that's displayed on kind of the top of the website, and then the historical data is updated once an hour.
Yeah, I think, I guess where I'm going is I think you still want some livelihood data, you know, that, hey, this device is still online, and you get that by periodically sending a packet even if the data is the same, and then deciding whether or not you persist it. At least you can convey that to the user.
Some of the hardware issues that we ran into, and then there were a few things in AWS.
So once we had IoT working, we pulling through that data, and we tried a couple different things to store the data. None of them were working on DynamoDB, and we were working with that. And one of our next big breakthroughs was seeing the data come through IoT and then showing up in our database table. So that was really cool. There's a NoSQL database, which none of us have any experience with. So it's kind of weird.
So you, sorry to interrupt. So you did get the DynamoDB working?
Yeah.
Oh,
We were
good.
seeing it in our tables, but we needed to get it on our website, and so we
Yeah.
wanted to get that to S3. So we learned all about different features of AWS with the data pipeline showing up into S3. We got that all working, and then it was still in JSON format, and we couldn't get that. We were having difficulty finding how to convert that onto the website properly. So it was nice. So we spent a lot of time on that. And eventually, we came down to just doing the roundabout way that we've done it, just directly to S3 without DynamoDB. So that's why we have the couple of hour iterations, and we can set that up to have 24 hours showing. Those were our biggest issues with it.
Couple quick questions. So I see this pull data. Oh, sorry. Are you doing that later? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Jingle Maple Plus was updated since we did the Chef project, so because we're not developers, and all three of us aren't, it took a little bit to get going, but yeah, we got that one going. And then we wanted to show it on Tableau because we liked how drag and drop Tableau was and how good it looked, but we couldn't get it from S3 onto Tableau for whatever reason. It was running into a lot of headaches, and so we ended up just converting the temperature and the time to strings and importing JSON into our website.
So let me ask my question. Tableau, is that kind of in the long-term plan? You know, it seems a little odd to me that you would pipe the data over to Tableau. Just, you know, I can understand for a convenience mechanism, but, you know, that, and I don't know what the licensing is. Maybe you can, you know, shove a whole bunch of data for free and, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it would, for the sake of the project, it was just kind of a convenient way we thought to get the data displayed nicely. But yeah, we ended up just finding some different tools that we could use to build our own graphs and stuff.
Oh, okay. So what we saw was not, you know, some Tableau snippet or something.
Yeah,
Okay.
Makes
me feel a lot better, actually.
Yeah. So one of the reasons why we chose this project was because none of us had a lot of experience in any of it. And there's stuff that we wanted to be able to learn. Thought it would be fun to build an IoT device and code everything out on there to send the data to IoT and to be able to display that out to users on the website. And then we designed out an app too that could potentially be better, be a lot more user-friendly than a website for this type of device. But in going through and coding the Raspberry Pi, we're able to take some of the things that we had learned in Commons class and using Python, and learn how to integrate that into AWS. And got the data to pull into IoT fairly quickly, and learned how to get it formatted so it would be easy to play with and to put up on our site. So those are a few things that work through, and then we try integrating it into IMOS3.
Yeah. So, as I understand, there's going to be a change to the enterprise infrastructure class, and that'll be on AWS. I think that'll be.
So we're going to offer another AWS class, and then you'll still learn some about AWS and 531.
And I think that'll be really helpful. We didn't have any previous experience except for the little segment in that class that we did. So we learned quite a bit and kind of that in the presentation already. But it's really cool to see how all these different features integrate together.
On the website, I think the biggest lesson learned is that I don't want to do websites. But
That's a good lesson.
It was neat to see it from start to beginning and be able to deploy it. It's not all the way working on our deploying online yet, but it's getting there. So that's cool.
So are these skills or lessons helpful for your future career? Do you think you'll kind of be in the AWS space, or But I appreciate the lessons learned, but I wonder, for the future.
I think what we have learned here with our app, that way we can take it to market. I think we've gone through enough of the hoops and the learning of the different technologies AWS has that we're on the right track now.
Have you thought, so you're planning on taking this further to market, I'm assuming? Is that right from that last one?
I think it would be cool.
That sounds like a no to me.
It's been a lot of work, but I think if we were to approach a venture capitalist and ask him if, that's in the healthcare space, ask him if it's worth pursuing, because I don't have marketing experience or the business aspect as much, but at least take it to that step, approach a venture capitalist.
I would, have you been to the Rollins Center yet? You get feedback? I would go there before you go to a VC.
Okay.
They can provide mentors that really have your best interest to give you the right feedback. So go there. It's a really great idea. I think there's some more designing of the thing and the website that need to happen. But if you wanted to, they could point you in a good direction to get that funding.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we had the SIY contest and met with Scott Peterson for a little bit and provided a lot of good direction.
All right, any questions that haven't been asked?
Well, I noticed that you said that the SD card was overheating. So is that a potential problem in every device then? Like, could people buy these devices and they don't work, or
It's very rare.
Okay.
I was looking and it's like 1 in every 1,000 devices at this issue.
Well, if you sell 1 million.
Yeah, it would be pretty inexpensive to replace them with small percentage to get out.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have PTA Finances.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Good job, gentlemen.
Barbecue this Friday.
It's supposed to snow this Friday.
So it's 70 degrees
I have a question about
tomorrow, and then
about here, sorry.
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking at right now. It's just it's rain all day, snow into the evening.
Oh,
We responded.
So we may need to do a little bit of the backup.
Honestly, there's a church right now.
you can put it like in a Google Drive.
And if we need a physical, I don't really need it. Rent an outdoors unlimited. You can rent a grill for $25 per day. We've done it all. We've done it all the time.
It's a higher level.
No, yeah.
That sounds like a great.
Okay.
I think it actually works better with the lights on.
It's hard. With the lights out, it's hard to see the guy.
Lights on the edge spots in the slides. So. Yeah, that's exactly right, and maybe studio lighting for you. Disco ball would be good too. Okay.
Well, if we were to do it inside, probably. I was thinking get the church next to the park, but if we know it's supposed to snow, it might as well do it inside on campus.
Yeah.
Can we do it? You're not barbecue.
Well, we could bring barbecues to the parking lot.
Oh. We're not going to. All right, PTA.
All right.
Gentlemen, you're on.
Awesome. Well, as glad you're all here. We are Nick and Bronson. Our Capstone project is building a PTA finance app. So here's a little overview. We'll just kind of go over problem and solution, talk about what we learned, what we're planning to do in the future, and then we've got a live demo for you. So first of all, why do we do this? This is our problem. So for PTAs and like small nonprofits, like professional associations, groups like this financial management is a hang-up. There's a lot of manual paperwork. A lot of things have to be reported. Getting a reimbursement, getting approval from the president, the treasurer, and 3 other people maybe. That's a hassle. And when people are spread out across the state or several states, trying to get this paperwork back and forth really is a burden. The reports have to be made manually and can get tedious, and it is a hang-up. Add to that, treasurers are often volunteers who don't have an accounting background, and the fact that the existing software doesn't really help much. It's either too expensive or it's geared towards someone who has an accounting background, or it just doesn't do all the things they need it to do. There's this space that's really not being served for people who are really making a difference and doing good in the community, and really trying to bring it sort of around them. So we thought this would be a great thing to help make a difference in the world. So seeing this problem, we devised a solution to make a mobile-first web app that addresses each of these issues. That will allow reimbursements to be submitted electronically with images of the receipt, and people can approve them from afar just by plugging into their phone or computer. It will automatically generate reports that would be necessary for government reporting, for getting sales tax reimbursed, etc. And this allows people to be able to understand what's going on with the budget and understand the transactions, even if they don't have an accounting background, which with our target audience, they probably don't. So that's what we devised as a solution to the problem.
So the kind of theme of our IS career has been learning new things every semester, and I'm sure even next semester it's going to be different. Not next semester, but for future students, it's going to be different than what we learned. And so we went ahead and learned all new stuff for this project. We used React as our development platform for the web framework, which neither of us had ever touched before. I'd heard of it, but that's about it.
And then we use Firebase kind of for our backend to host different things for the database, for photo storage, for like receipts, authentication, just about everything. So that was something new that we had to play around with. We used Bitbucket to kind of restore our code, and I was able to set it up so it's automatically deployed to Firebase. So that made it a lot quite smooth. But as we were kind of researching all of this, why we kind of chose some of these different types of technical solutions is because we ever did want to scale. There seems to be pretty good scalability with all of them, and they're pretty well known technologies as well. So someone else could jump on and after a little bit of study, we could be able to pick it up.
So, just kind of give an idea of kind of the time we spent here. Last semester we worked on our user experience as we designed out kind of what we wanted it to look like and everything. We spent our first month just learning because, like Bronson said, neither of us had ever touched React or Firebase before. I had never touched a JavaScript UI framework like this before, so it was a great learning experience. It took us a little longer than we anticipated, but I feel like we got a pretty good hang of it. And then we built out the basic application through February and March, added all the functionality, and now we're just fine tuning and the little details that as we were getting the functionality built out that we may have missed initially. Fortunately, those are few. We were able to get most of them already taken care of, but there are a couple things that were still very minor things that we're just fine tuning. So.
Yeah, so just a couple of, we kind of brainstorming, thinking about some of the things that we felt like we did well with this project and maybe we could do differently. But we did do quite a bit of planning at the front, and we were a little bit hesitant or we spending too much time on planning. But it actually turned out to, I feel like, really helped everything else be pretty smooth because as we started to actually create the web application, we had most of our questions answered as far as design goes, how we wanted things to work. And so I felt like we spent a lot less time banging our heads with that part and just focusing on developing the app, as well as the technologies we use because we really tried to research a lot up front. We didn't run into as many issues in terms of, oh, this isn't going to work with what we originally anticipated, so now we got to scramble to find something else. Learning does take time. Another thing that really helps was when we did that planning, we tried to find either libraries that we could use to help develop some of our components or just things that already existed so we weren't having to recreate things from scratch. And I felt that really helped to speed things up. So we were able to find a UI library for React that allowed us to not touch CSS and all that stuff that I really hate to play with. So that was really helpful. And I guess the other kind of big one is you're always going to have change, and we still did have some changes or things that we ran into, and so we're like, we're just going to have to simplify this or scrap it until the next iteration. Yep.
So future plans, we've got just a couple things. We want to fine-tune our permissions and access controls and adding the roles, and that's something we're working on right now. We've got, in the future, we'd like to add a few more features to expand this, make it even more tailored towards nonprofit users, such as being able to collect dues automatically and make the reports a little more customizable than they currently are, and eventually for reimbursements, instead of just saying, recording, hey, we made out a check or we paid you this way, being able to integrate with something like Venmo or PayPal to be able to send payment directly electronically to the person who was requested it. So we anticipate this could be a very good subscription service, something aimed at a lower cost, so a smaller PTA organization could use it. And we've marketed it, as you can see here, with connections we have to PTAs and other organizations, and going to nonprofit conferences and fairs. And so that's if when we get to that point, that's kind of the idea there. So, all right, now comes the fun part.
Escape out.
Yeah. So, actually, let's go ahead and start with this part. So, if you'd like to, you can pull out your phone. We've got an account for you to log in and to go ahead and just take a picture of a reimbursement or something on the table to treat like a receipt, and we'll show you how to do that. And, here we go.
You can also create your own account if you want. Hopefully, nothing crashes. We haven't used it on a.
Hey, this is about the infrastructure you chose, right?
Yeah.
This is awesome.
So it should work pretty well though.
So we have to create an account?
Or you can use this account that we created if you don't want to.
As Dr. Masurbi taught us in our labs, password or password 1 is the best password to use. No, I'm kidding. But,
Well, for demos and things, it's awesome.
And Dr. Vance isn't here, so don't worry about that either.
So let's switch over to So have we had some reimbursements submitted?
Almost.
Almost there. Okay. So that would be here, of course, under request reimbursement. So one of the things we use is, I'm going to switch over here to a different computer for a second because I've got email address up that will, as my computer decides to cooperate, there it is. So this will, we have a Firebase cloud function set up, which is a lot like Amazon Lambda expressions. It's triggered when a new reimbursement is added to the database. This will send an email to me in this case for this this extra address I have set up here. And now we have a reimbursement from Gov for $2.
You're so much faster than I am.
UVU.
Hey, where's the picture?
We'll show you that in a second.
Yeah. So so we've got. So this is just. If I were the administrator, I'd be getting this. You know, please log in to review this, just to check, look over the reimbursement, and to get it ready to go. And it looks like we've got a couple more from Dr. Masurbi, who looks like he's bought some pretty expensive stuff.
Someone's, spoofing my address. That's mine.
All right. All right. Well, let's just switch back over here to the what's it called? To the app here. And so me as the administrator, if I come in and I look at here, approve, I can see we have some other test transactions in there, as you can see. Oh, look, here we go. We've got a transaction from Gov. Let's see. Oh, that's not what I'm supposed to do. Hold on a second. There we go. And here's the receipt. Click on that, and here it comes.
I am impressed.
So there it is, $2 for parking. And, well, I think that looks pretty good to me. What do you think, Bronson? Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and approve that.
Shouldn't have been approved. It was during spring break at UVU. I could have parked in student parking for free.
Well, we figure we owe you for the donuts anyway. No, but anyway, so these.
So go down to mine. I want to see the cropped image.
Yes.
151.
So yeah, we did add cropping functionality to kind of make it so that you don't have all the white space around it.
Yeah, we have this load big enough so that way, okay, well you can, it's a long
Yeah.
receipt, you can look in and see, okay, well, the third item looks good, the fourth item, I'm not so sure. While I'm here, let's just go ahead and approve that. So it will be set up so multiple users can be required to approve something, and once they've been approved, they show up on here on this payment screen. So you can come in here and again you can see everything here. And, yep, everything looks good. So if I come in and say, okay, we're going to make out a check today, which is 410, and there's a random check number. And this will mark it as paid in the database and show it in, and be able to show it in the budget. Additionally, a user will be able to come in and see his or her reimbursements and the status of those, if they're still pending, if they've been approved and the check hasn't been made out.
Nice.
So if you're wondering where your money is, you can come in and see it here. So.
Type of nonprofit does write check number 23 million.
Yeah, so kind of the second part we worked on was budget management. And so we had it set up so that we can see all the different categories. So just so a treasurer can kind of see where they're at with the different budgets that they've spent. We're able to go in and actually see filtered based on all the transactions that happened from income to what was just approved and paid. So we have filtering like that. It's working pretty decently. Have a couple of little bugs to fix with that. Let's go back up here. In addition, we also created some forms just to be able to record income. So, an organization receives a check from somewhere, members' dues, that type of thing. That would be a little bit more, hopefully a little more fleshed out to where it's a little more specific. But we just were able to create something basic for now. So that's basically it with budget management. Pretty simple. Just kind of gives them an overview so they can kind of see where things are at. So.
For let's see, the next section here, we've got some reports, and for now we just have a few preloaded templates into here. Eventually, the hope is, the idea is to be able to add some customizability where the users can do a more customized query. For now, we just have it sorted into a couple of things. So if I need to know how much we spent in February, I can come in here, select the year and the month. And that loads the transactions here. You can still look in and see the details. That's definitely not a receipt.
Was this done at church?
We wish the church used something like this because the whole traditional receipt reimbursement thing would be.
Yes.
Now, in addition, we also added, so we hit some of these things on the print view. Audit review. So it will hide the different aspects of the UI and just create a nicely formatted report there. So so that can be printed and given to So that's kind of where we go through. We've got annual reports as well to ask for the month, of course, and that will be made more specific as time goes on.
Yeah. So the last area we have is just a little bit of account management. This is kind of still, we're finishing up a little bit. This is kind of the one area where we ran into some issues where we want to be able to make administrators be able to assign roles to different people so that, as you can see right now, everyone has access to approval and things like that that would only be reserved for certain people. So we're in the process of creating those permissions and roles. The authentication that we're using, we weren't able to store as much information in that as we had hoped, so kind of having to do a combination of things. And then we thought we could use this SDK to create kind of user management and just let it do it for us, but it turns out it's not as nice with how simplistic ours is. So essentially what would happen is any user would be able to come into here, edit their profile, add a profile image, different things like that. But we're also going to make it so they're able to see all the other users within your organization, and then have the admin be able to assign roles so that they're able to approve reimbursements and do different things like that. So that's basically our app up to this point.
So right now, do you have? Are you associated with a specific organization?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So.
Yeah.
So basically, it's our initial vision was to be able to have a user sign in, and if they're a member of more than one organization, be able to select which organization they're a member of. But as it turns out, with the serverless architecture we're using, it's a lot simpler to set it up more with something like Slack, where the organization will have their own URL, something.ptafinance.com.
Yeah.
And then that would keep things a little more separate.
Got it. And are you using the authentication through Firebase?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yep. That's been pretty seamless. It's just a little more simplistic than we were hoping, so we've had to do some stuff on our own as well.
Yeah. Cool.
Any more questions?
Are you guys done? I mean, okay, yeah, so I have some questions. So, are you really going to do this? So I'm involved with a nonprofit. We'd love to have something like this, especially if it didn't cost very much.
Yeah.
And so, are you guys really going to do this? And if so, how can we help?
So this is actually an idea that came from Dr. Maservi. So the idea is to meet up with him and kind of see what our future plans are. So if you can bug him and bug us about it.
I think there's a real opportunity. The price point that the market, I think, bears out for PTAs is about $100 a year.
I was thinking about the same thing.
And there are a couple options out there, but they're not very good. They're a little antiquated. I think, my perspective, the biggest pain point is the reimbursement process, and kind of submitting receipts and other things. And then you got to have the reporting behind it as well. And I think some of the existing options don't provide that. So, yeah, I think certainly much wider than PTAs. Other nonprofits, clubs, certain HOAs or other things would really benefit from something like this.
So we actually found some pretty slick software that's out there that's kind of similar to this, but it's so expensive that it wouldn't work for a small group.
And so, are you thinking about some kind of a freemium model? Where you can say there's some portion that you can get for free, but if you want the reporting that comes along with it, or if you want the, I don't know, to be able to do reimbursements just, totally happen online, then you're going to pay for it, or...
We hadn't thought about doing a freemium, but that definitely could be a possibility.
Okay.
And as I spoke to, I have a couple family members who are associated with like the Association of Municipal Clerks or Associate Utah Finance Association, stuff like that. They express also the collecting dues would be something they'd be interested in us adding.
Yeah, I think especially if you could get like a Venmo integration, that takes away so much of the pain of writing checks. And some maybe there's some regulations where certain organizations won't be able to have a Venmo account, and they want the paper trail of checks and other things. But I just think so much hassle in kind of doing the finances for these organizations. Yeah, lots of opportunities. Other questions? Well, gentlemen, looks really good. Okay, next up, we have about 7 minutes, so you guys can kind of ease into it.
I'm in order. I've got my stack.
Oh, perfect. I'll sort them in just a minute.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Gav. Appreciate the feedback.
Here's the others in reverse order. I'm not going anywhere, but at least I feel bad that I didn't get them to you.
Oh, no worries. That's great.
PTA.
Thank you. Nope, nope. I'll send down a link in your group eval and stuff. As part of that, I'll have you list out the names of the ones that you attended, but you don't need to worry about it.
So the link on Learning Suite's just for our own group?
Yeah, yeah. You want to put that link? Is it in that?
Capstone projects, are these a master's class or is this part of it?
Yes, so
Okay.
all masters are required to take it. So in the fall, they've got 550, which is a half credit class, but where Tom gets me kind of ranked up on the big picture, and then my 551 is compliance with it. We have to that is duration of the testing.
I think
whatever a lot of them do their capstone project before that. So then in January, so it's been up to 552 is their class. So Tom's the then they
Which, I mean, the combination of bondage, that has been so good. Yeah, I mean, just so good.
by winter, they have a much better idea.
Well, I think they come away really seeing the value of early validation. I don't think some of our students got that before. So.
Yeah, I definitely get the impression that the earlier work creates a really polished, semi-polished, nice project.
It's one of the things from the rapid testing, even the paper level, low fidelity, go find some williams, go find a new kind of case, go find whatever, and see is this really nice to have these types of things. Some of the roadmap, some of the roadmap. But it's nice that they don't just have some stupid class assignment. Hey, now how do we accept this project? They're invested in it. Because they think that it's
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I just think that they also see the value of iterating on things that they set this different for. Kind of saying, oh, let's scope out that, you know. So often it's like, let's do this. And it's like, bring it down quite a bit. And then as they see things, as they go through these iterations, like, no, I'm going to put that one on the back burner. It's not as important as I validated it early on. Yeah,
say, yes, that's an interesting idea. We'll put it on the roadmap.
Yeah,
Like, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be a new one or 2 or 5.
That's exactly right. Super useful.
How long for how long have grad students done this here?
Capstone?
Well, I've been here, this is my 6th, but we did at least 1 or 2 years before that. Because Steve ran it once and did Craig ran it once.
I think it wasn't, you had like a 550.
Yeah, that was added, I think, the year before I joined. And
Yeah, so
that's made
that,
it.
we had a consulting project. We had a consulting project where we had faculty who had defined projects that we wanted to do as a consulting firm. And just got where we got 70 volunteers on the website. Everyone's down the street.
Well, and the interests were totally misaligned, at least when I went through it. Totally not interested in where if I could have my time to do something like that,
And that's
that
the
would
thing
have
for
been
this, the interviews I've done, you've heard a lot of students say, I just wish I had more time to spend on capstone because it's just what I love to do. Class ready to see something through that I got to choose that I'm interested in.
Yeah, and they get to kind of focus on their strengths too, rather than kind of being pigeonholed into, doing development work or doing this work that maybe isn't, what they're really interested in. Though most of them have some development component to it.
And I can see how they would be totally invested, but why would they not have that if they were told to go out and find an organization and do a project for them.
They care about this thing. They chose this thing.
So we don't restrict them from going out and, you know, finding actual business or something like that, but so many ideas that have been percolating for a couple
So
of
rather than
years.
solving somebody else's problem, they're solving a problem that
They've identified it. Yeah.
But then there's so his wife's PA stuff. So if you guys don't already have a project, here's an idea. You probably need to solve it, but it wants to take this one.
I'm in awe of the awesomeness that exists here.
But there's so many good things going on. Bright students, great mentors.
Just the structure of the ideas that have gone into planning the activities that they have and combining them. It's wow.
Yeah, so super fun to be a part of, isn't it? All right, gentlemen, Memory Hub is up next. Memory spelt appropriate for the time and era that we're in, right?
Cheap domains. So before we actually get started with our presentation about Memory Hub, in 2011, a group of Israeli professors published a study about judges and prisoners on parole. And what they discovered is if the judges, you all, had not had a snack within an hour or two, the likelihood of not receiving parole went up significantly. So, we have a package of Oreos.
You guys passed the test. You'll graduate.
BBC more.
All right, so Greg and I are Memory Hub. Memory Hub started about a year ago. My dad and I were hiking in Banff National Park. We were talking about potential capstone projects. Greg and I had already decided we wanted to work on our project together. We've done, I think, almost every project over the last 3 years together. And my dad and I started talking about technology and elderly people. And we started more specifically talking about how technology could help them in their lives, as most of the technology created today is designed for the people in this room, people who know technology and feel comfortable using it. So I reached out to my cousin, who's a manager at an assisted living facility. At the time, he was here in Provo. And I asked him about problems that they deal with their residents. What do they struggle with? And I started looking for ways technology could help solve that. So we met at Zupa's. So we met at Zupa's, and I just asked him, I grilled him with a lot of questions. And it all came down to one general problem, and that was purpose. The purpose behind these people is that they just didn't feel like they had it anymore. I talked to my grandfather who has Parkinson's disease. His mind is still there. He can still talk, he can still interact, but his body just can't really do much anymore. So he just felt like he didn't have much purpose in life. And this was a man who had spent his entire life serving others, helping other people. So Greg and I jumped into that. We started looking at ways where we can help people who are in an assisted living facility or at that age find purpose again in their life.
Yeah, so that's kind of where this idea started, and we started throwing ideas back and forth. First, we kind of started with, well, we could use an Echo, use an Alexa, build an Alexa app where they could talk to the app and share their memories and integrate with the app, or even integrate with other kind of like a smart home hub that would make it really easy for them, so they didn't have to learn to use a new application. They could just talk. We also talked about using an iPad. I know a lot of older generations, they tend to have iPads for some reason. I guess
the big font.
Yeah, exactly. The big font and the touch to do things helps them. So we bounced those ideas around, but neither of us really had experience with those, so we just kind of kept trying to figure out what we wanted to do. And then finally kind of came up with an idea of this memory hub. And kind of the idea behind it is that everybody has a story, not only the old folks in the senior living, but also young children or parents. They all have these stories and memories that they want to share. So we wanted to create a central place and an easy place for them to share their stories. So that's kind of what Memory Hub is now. It's a front end essentially for Google Drive that allows you to upload any pictures, videos,
audio or text documents, and then you can organize it into a timeline according to when things happen. For our tech stack, real quick, we decided to go with Python Django. We were familiar with it, so we didn't want to force ourselves to learn something new as well as do the project. That worked out pretty well. We're hosting it on Heroku with a Postgres database. Heroku makes it really cheap, so that's nice. And then, like I said, a really important feature of Memory Hub is that we're putting all of the memories, the files that they're uploading, in that user's Google Drive account. So they maintain access to it. They are able to manage it. If anything happens to Memory Hub itself, all their memories are still in their Google Drive. So that's an important part of our tech stack.
So let's go ahead and hop into the website. We'll do a little demo showing you what it is, and feel free to ask any questions as we're going through it. We're open to changing around the order we show different things. Basic idea, we have our lovely landing page. We used a consultant by the name of Ali Wilkin to give us quite a bit of guidance and feedback on our homepage.
She was underpaid.
She was very underpaid.
Looks really good.
So we'll go ahead and log in. Like we said, you use your Google Drive. So the first time you log in, it asks you for certain permissions and accesses. But after that, you just log in through Google. We're going to jump in and create a new timeline to show you what the basic idea is. So we'll go ahead and create one for our favorite Tom Maservi.
Yeah. Uh-oh. You don't have real memories here, do you?
Yeah, you'll find out soon. So this is the basic idea when you first come to a blank one. We'll go ahead and add a profile picture for Dr. Maservi. We went ahead and scraped the web a little bit for a couple pictures. There's not as much embarrassing stuff about him as you might think, unfortunately.
Because it doesn't exist. Just forget looking now.
All right, so you come in, the first thing you do, add a profile picture for someone just so you can easily tell which timeline is for which people. Like Greg mentioned earlier, timelines can be for a grandparent, a parent. My older brother is using it for his son. You can even use it for like a family trip, just kind of whatever you're trying to document on a timeline. So come in here, and then you start adding memories. Memories are how the whole thing is designed, where you put files to a memory, you put photos to a memory. Everything revolves around a memory that has a specific date and time, or not time, but a specific date, and that's what this is all built on, is a memory. So let's go ahead. We found some pictures of Dr. Maservi's brother's graduation. Let's say 2014. Is that about right?
Sounds right.
Sounds right.
16? I don't know.
A bunch of other options. My dad asked me to add latitude and longitude for whatever reason. And then we have other basic things like city, state, just exactly what you expect for a specific memory that you have.
I love that, by the way, that you're in touch with actual users that had feature requests, and you could easily, accommodate those.
He actually said he wasn't going to use it unless it had latitude. So we added it pretty quickly. So we'll add some files in here, and we're just going to show you one example of how to add a file, and then we'll go to an example when we have Dr. Maservi with his dad and his brother. I assumed it was your brother, at least. There's a pretty good resemblance between you there. And then if you go back to a timeline, this is the basic timeline now. It populates the top bar with the decade before your event, and then below that, the decade after your event, and anything that happened within that decade is the memory. Any questions up to this point? Perfect. Now we will hop over and show you a timeline that is already populated. This is Grandma Jones. She is a fictitious character that we had a lot of fun making up. And this is what a basic timeline looks like.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, we wanted to make it kind of the central hub for everything, not just pictures. There are a lot of places to put pictures and organize pictures, but also video, audio, and text. So as you can see, the pictures you can just see here, or you can click on them. And if you go into a picture, it'll show you that preview. One thing nice about integrating with Google Drive is this file preview. There's that link right at the top. You click on it, it takes you right to the picture in Google Drive. And then you can also edit the name of the picture, and that updates in your Google Drive. Or you can add a description, and it actually does add the description to the metadata of the file.
Wow, that's really cool.
You can't see that, so
yeah, but but the value if Memory Hub goes away or if I want to share those files later. So you change the name here and it does rename it. And
exactly.
Awesome. I love that metadata too.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So that's really useful. And then if we go back to the timeline, just kind of some other examples. We have an audio file we can look at, and you can play it right from here. So we got a nice audio file.
Professionally produced interview.
Really, Grandma. Exactly.
You go hardcore.
And then we'll just show one video real quick. And you can also play it right from here, or you can, that link's still there, so you can go to your Google Drive. So, yeah. And then kind of just to see how an overall, if you want to go back, yeah. Overall timeline looks, we can just kind of scroll down, like we said, we have it divided by by decades, everything years, and grouped by memories is the idea. So you can add multiple files to a memory so that you can see the whole thing, like a year of the and that kind of stuff. She aged well. So, and we'll go ahead and show you, if you want to go to Google Drive right now. So like we said, it's stored in Google Drive. As soon as they create their first timeline, we create a Memory Hub folder at the root of their Google Drive for them. You can go in. Each timeline is then subdivided into a folder itself. The new one we just created. If you go to Grandma Jones, what we were looking at, there's each memory in a folder. So the birth is the one we look pictures of, and all of your audio, video, pictures are all in this folder for access if you want to download them easily or share them otherwise. Which actually brings me to the next feature we have is sharing. So you're able to then share the timelines with others. We're able to integrate it through Google Drive. So what happens is the Google Drive folder itself is shared with the other user, so they can log into their Google Drive, see the folder as well, or they can just log on to the Memory Hub website and through that. To share it with the user, you enter their email address, and then you can say read access or write access, and it will actually, when it shares the Google Drive folder, it gets that either that read or that write.
Publicly and send it out to a big group. Look at this, Grandma. Like 100.
That's so yes. In a way, we do. So we have groups is one of the other features we worked on. So you can create a group, say your family, and you create it once, and yeah, I'll go ahead and create a group. And then you can add users to that group, however many you want. Just to make it easier to share with a whole bunch of people, and if you have multiple timelines, it's really quick. So you'd add the users, and then you go back to sharing on that timeline, and select the group. Select the group you want to share it with, the access, and it will share with everybody in that group, so that you don't have to type out every email for every timeline. And I think that's the basic functionality.
All right. Where Memory Hub is going? Short and quick answer, not sure. Right now, Greg and I both accepted offers other places, so we're not doing this full time. But we are planning on keeping this up on the side. We've set it up in a way that it's extremely cheap to keep. It's Google Drive on the storage backend, so we don't have to pay for any S3 buckets or anything like that. We have it set up on Heroku right now, and we only pay for uptime once someone's actually on the website, so that's cents per month. The only thing that's expensive is it's $10 a year for the domain that we have.
You come back to me when you can't afford that, and I'll be happy to pay the cost of that to keep this going.
Everyone heard that, okay?
Yeah.
And we have a couple other things we're planning on adding. One of the things we've talked to Dr. Maservi about is a batch upload, where you just upload a bunch of pictures and files all at once, and then we're implementing drag and drop to memories, where you can just move them around on the site itself without having to go in and type it all by hand. So that's the basic idea of where we're moving forward with this.
The no plans for monetization. If you were to monetize it a little bit, what would you do to cover that?
So we've talked about a number of solutions. One is a freemium model. The problem with freemium is it's very, very difficult to actually make any money, which for us wouldn't be that bad because we might be able to make just enough to cover our costs, where you can get maybe 2 timelines for free, and then after that you have to pay a $5 a month or $5 a year subscription, something cheap like that. We've looked at trying to partner with Family Search. We reached out to them a little bit, but decided we didn't want to really pursue that since we weren't sure where we were going to go with it. So we've looked at a couple options like that, but we're open to other ideas.
Definitely memory books, and maybe even like hot chocolate cups with grandma's face on it. Now, product customization maybe, but really memory books to take the timelines for the family and smash them together in a hard copy.
Printed memory books.
Yeah,
Right?
printed memory
And
books.
there are a number of companies here in Provo that would jump on that to be a print.
That's an excellent idea. We'll talk with you after the meeting.
In fact, I think one of the companies tried to do something like this and didn't quite get it rolling. They might be interested in playing game.
You know which company that was?
I know the last name Alexander is the owner. He's my state president. So President Alexander owns a big printing company. They do a lot of stuff. I'll do that.
Yeah. Is there any other questions?
Is there a difference between, like, you guys look into uploading the Google Photos as opposed to Google Drive? Because I know, like, there's a limit on Google Drive, but there's no limit on Google Photos. Like, is there, is it a lot more complicated?
Yeah, that's the short answer.
Okay.
So I looked into it. It didn't seem like they had as much integration ability, like their API wasn't as good.
Yeah.
And that we didn't have as much control with Google Photos. And we wanted to maintain the idea of keeping everything in one place.
Okay.
So at least I don't think Google Photos, I don't think you can have like audio or video. Maybe you can. But
Video, I don't know about audio.
Or like text documents.
Is video unlimited on Google Photos?
Yep.
Oh, it is too.
Everything's unlimited.
Now you're getting a token to access your Google Drive. Is that how you're doing that?
So we get a
Are there
token.
any security risks you need to watch out for that? What if other people were to get their token?
Yeah, so that's definitely a security concern. It's supposed to expire every, I think it's hour.
Oh, cool.
That token expires, and then
So that really minimizes.
yeah, so they're supposed to go in and refresh that token.
Searchability. So, are you able to search the tag terms for these?
So that's one of the other, we have a list of maybe 10 things of features we'd like to implement, and that's one of them. So obviously you can go into your Google Drive and search it right now, but on the actual site you can't currently. Awesome. So last but not least is our lessons learned. There was a lot of them. We had a lot of fun with this project. First is neither Greg nor I have a abiding desire to do front end. I did most of the front end only because Greg's a lot better at back end. So if we're going to start a business, we need to find someone who likes front end. That was one of our first lessons. And we've talked a lot about potentially starting a business years down the road. The other one is user testing. It was surprising how important user testing was. Dr. Anderson's class. We started user testing we built basically an MVP, and then started user testing almost right after that. And it was amazing how quickly we got really, really helpful feedback. Something as simple as having example timelines so you can see exactly how the potential for the site. We were surprised at how important that was to every single one of our users. Nick Ward and his wife are currently using it, or at least they built a couple timelines. We decided not to go and look at what the timelines are. That would be a breach of privacy, and we can't actually see the material. All we can see is the names of the memories. But he gave us some good feedback as well, and we have different family members and people using it. So user testing was extremely important for us.
Well, Nancy's a super genealogy buff.
That's what he explained. And just to add on to that, like, we thought our app was pretty simple, right? You just create a timeline and a memory, and that's it. But users had a hard time seeing the big picture. And so the user testing is what really showed us. We need to see the big picture, even though it's really simple.
We're in the process of building out like a tutorial where we can say add grandparent, and we'll ask you 10, 15 questions and build the template for that without you having to do it all yourself.
Yeah. So some other things we learned. Learned a lot about the Google Drive API. Its limitations, what it can do. It's a really nice API. It was really useful for us being able to integrate with Google Drive.
We thought this was going to take us about a month and a half, and Greg did it in a week. It's great. So the Google Drive API helped us a lot.
It never happens like that. Enjoy the one time in your life.
And then some other lessons. Prioritizing functionality can be difficult. We had a lot of users suggest new and cool features, and we're like, yeah, that's awesome. We should do that. But we had to make sure we limited what we were going to do so that we didn't put our hands in too many things at one time. And then last but not least, planning is important. We spend a lot of time, probably a couple hours each week, we'd plan out what we were going to do. And that really helped us too. Once we actually sat down to program it, we knew exactly what was going to happen, and it just sped up the whole process.
Any other questions? Awesome, thank you.
All right, great job. Okay, folks, we now have a break for devotional, and we'll be back at 12 for those who want to join us. Thanks.
It's Elder Anderson today. It should be a really good one.
That's right. The video apparently says Wednesday on it.
Yeah, I edited
Please
it,
finish
but
the Oreos.
I'll go back and edit it again. Yeah.
I had no idea where it was.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
No worries. Very good.